Hi there, welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to get into part 3 and hopefully the final part of my mixed Mac media mix, whatever I was calling it, that I think is so clever. If you join me for parts 1 and 2, I start off with the Midnight Special from 1976. And as of the last video, I think I had got up all the way to 1997. So we're going to start off today with 2003's Say You Will, which is another one of those SACD. Like I had mentioned earlier with the Rumors one, this one came out as an audio mix of the Say You Will album that came out in 2003. Now, between 1997 and 2003, I'm pretty sure that there's some media that I'm missing. I think I'd even brought that up in the last video. I'm not even sure that I have everything that I have in my collection in front of me. Just, a lot of what I did have, and a lot of stuff was in storage, and even the boxes I opened, I was surprised that I had what all I do. I thought all this would be one video, and as you can see, it's been about 3. But I remember getting this one, of course, loving the album when it came out. And if you didn't see my first video, but just a heads up, one of these will be coming out in August, I believe, from Rhino Records, commemorating the first album, the White Album, the Fleetwood Mac. And the nice thing about these is they're DVDs. That one that's coming out could be a Blu-ray, but it's just the album. It's just the album on a special format type CD, which this one is called an SACD, which I found out was Super Audio CD. So that depending on your DVD or Blu-ray player, if you have 5.1 Dolby or surround sound or whatever you have, 4K, I don't know, there's so many different varieties nowadays, you're going to get the best sound and a clearer sound than you may from vinyl or DVD or cassette, which I believe are the other 3 formats that this is on. This one just came out recently on LP, on vinyl, and it sounds good, but I'm sure comparatively this, of all the formats, is probably going to be the best sounding way to listen to the Say You Will album. This came out again right around the same time as the album did. Not much in the way of different packaging and like that. I mean, there's the little inside, but pretty much everything that you got with the CD, which is nice, all the lyrics and everything. But it's nice that they included everything in this one too. Because I think this was maybe an option to buy instead of the CD. If you just wanted it, they'd come back together. They were, again, this is 2003, so we're getting on, trying to think of how many years of Rumors. We're minus Chris, so we're kind of trying to find different ways. And they were really marketing this in a different way. There was a lot of TV tie-ins. It was showcased with that 70s show. The songs it was sponsored by AOL a lot, so there's a lot of AOL involvement in getting the album out there. They partnered up with not Barnes and Noble, the Borders. Borders was a big contributor. It was either Tower Records or one of the other places, but there's a lot of people promoting this pretty diligently. For an album that was minus Christine McVie, and for an album that actually, I believe, got a fair amount of critic appreciation, but has really gone by way of, much like this media, the dinosaur. It just kind of seems to me to have petered out. A lot of people don't talk about it. Now when they bring it up, it's not so favorable. When it first came out, it was pretty well received, and I love the album. I've actually been listening to it recently, and it has changed a little bit for me. It sounds a little bit different to me nowadays than it had, but in 2003 and 2004, I played the living Jesus out of this album. So I certainly had my fill, and it's an album that I put away for a while, but when I bring it back out, it's nonstop. I don't stop listening to it. It is full of great tracks. And, a lot of people refer to it, as I've spoken about this already before, but a lot of people refer to it as kind of a Buckingham mix too. I don't see that at all. It's just that, instead of three songwriters, we had two strong-willed people, ex-couple, and then we had John and Mick, who are always going to be in the band doing the best that they do. And it was very strong and creative, but definitely in its own way. And I was fully supportive. I also want to mention that I don't think I ever did with the album is I wish I had the name. I've got to pull this out for something else. This artwork is based on a Japanese movie, and I've seen it. I have a print of it somewhere. But it was a very popular movie, and it could be a Kurosawa movie. Perhaps I'm mistaken in that one. But there is a full movie that came out quite some time ago, no less, and this is exactly what the cover looks like. I mean, basically, well, not exactly, but persons laying in different directions, but against a backdrop almost extremely similar to that. Kind of looks like paper mache or something like that. Kind of that fabric, but just kind of an interesting little takeaway. It's probably even brought up somewhere in here, but just fun fact. So that was that for Say You Will. It's just a different media content. Quickly on the heels of Say You Will, there was a documentary that came out called Destiny Rules about the trials and tribulations of putting this together, which was actually kind of a warranted documentary, a warranted video. It was difficult for them. It was definitely, a lot of the problems were their own. A lot of the problems were not even problems necessarily, but two, again, like I just mentioned a second ago, two strong-willed people putting together an album that, how much was it wanted in 2003? I mean, well, I'm trying to think of what was going on in 2003, but we're out of the 90s and the Spice Girls and all that kind of stuff. We're well out of grunge, but we're well into the 2000s. We'd had 9/11. Um, Stevie had done really well with Trouble in Shangri-La, but she didn't feel she had done as well or gotten as much out there because it came out kind of on the heels of 9/11. But the studio was really kind of fighting Stevie and Lindsay and Fleetwood Mac, the moniker as a whole, on what they wanted in an album, and do we want you minus Christine? Do we want you at all into this horizon of music? Do you fit in? And so, I think that Stevie and Lindsay are two people that just don't give a rat's ass that they fit in. If they want to make music, they're going to make music. But I think that they took it and kind of drew out the drama a little bit, which was definitely there, but just drew it out a little bit more for this documentary. And for all the little pit fighting between them, definitely for viewers. It was just kind of funny. There was some significance to them against the label, and what kind of content they were going to bring at that time. And it's a very interesting documentary, very different. I mean, so far removed from the people they were in the 1980 Tusk Mac documentary. Very, very different people. So definitely worth a watch. This is the back of it. There was no insert, which I was disappointed. I'm wondering if I'm missing it, if there was, but because there's little clippies. But that's the DVD. So that's it for the Destiny Rules. After that, we had the Lindsey Buckingham soundstage that came out in 2000. Where are you? 2005. Soundstage presents Lindsey Buckingham with special guest Stevie Nicks. This was great. I think I brought this up because I think I had the audio CD of this. This is really nice. Really nice to have Stevie come out and join them for some tracks. But this is just great Lindsay live footage. And soundstage, this was pretty happening. This was a pretty cool little thing they had going for a while. They had plenty of really good acts here. I only really count it for the Stevie and Lindsay times, but they had some other bands that were good come out and do this show. And I believe a few of my friends were at some of these recordings, so that was pretty cool. Their stories. But yeah, this was down on the rodeo. Just Lindsay's work around that time, and then Stevie coming out with "Never Going Back Again," "Say Goodbye." So really, two real poignant moments that we were seeing on the 2003-2004 tour. So it was nice for Stevie to come out and join Lindsay for those moments. So we have that one. Next up, we have everything's falling down here. This was a big thing. I don't know if I think this was before he passed away, if I'm not mistaken. But this would be the Tom Petty Running Down a Dream DVD set, and this came out in 2007. So yeah, before he passed away, because that was the first and only time I'd ever seen Tom Petty, was around this time. Totally went for Stevie Nicks, and I've always liked Tom Petty, but I went for Stevie Nicks because I knew she was going to be a guest, and I saw 6 shows, I want to say, total. 4 of them being at the Greek, 1 being at the Hollywood Bowl, and then another one in Santa Ana, I want to say. And the second show in, I'm like, Stevie who? I mean, Tom Petty was freaking impressive. I mean, so grateful I saw him. I always liked him. He's an artist I didn't ever really get around to seeing. And especially because he passed away as early as he did, I'm obviously more grateful. But just really seeing him, and the Heartbreakers for that matter, was just really an amazing opportunity. This was prominent because, of course, in the film, Stevie's brought up a lot because obviously all the work they did together. But then in this, you have this is a nice little packaging put together. You had the little stuff in here, things you could order. I have this book too, for of course the pictures of Stevie and him. This little booklet inside. Let's see here. Is she in here with him? No, but a little booklet. Then had some postcards. Really nice. None with Stevie, but then I think you had this is what all that stuff came in. It was really nice packaging. I'd love for something like this for Stevie or Fleetwood Mac, actually. And then you had all the discs. And on the discs, you had the film Running Down a Dream, which was a documentary type film by Peter Bogdanovich, I think is how you say his name, about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And then there was a Gainesville, Florida concert, 30th anniversary of them being, because that's where they're from, I believe. And Stevie Nicks is on that, coming out for Stop Dragging My Heart Around, I Need to Know, Insider. And then there's a bonus track CD, and I don't think she's on the CD. But yeah, there's plenty of Stevie stuff to be had on here, so that's why I picked that up. Plus, all the Tom Petty footage, obviously, is quite phenomenal, as is the film. And it's a great little film and everything like that. But, going in with my little collection here, of course, it was purchased off the Stevie stuff. So there's that. Next up, we have another Lindsay show on DVD. And Songs from the Small Machine. This was a really cool collection as well. This came out in 2007 as well, I think. 2011, sorry. Yeah, because this is for Seeds We Sow, maybe. And all Lindsay. Quite a bit. It's a great show. Scratchy voice again, I'm so sorry. And this is a 2-disc CD DVD. So we have the CD of the show to listen to, and then we have the audio and visual. So the audio to listen to it, the live show, and then the DVD to watch. Nice little packaging here. All the guys, Neil, Brett, may he rest in peace. Awesome human. This whole band is great. Everybody in Lindsay's band is really nice. Stevie's band too, but Lindsay's, would come out more often, and Brett was a super nice guy. So is Neil. Brett I know a little bit better, but Neil, I don't know them like I exchange Christmas cards, but having lost Brett was really, really tough for everybody. So I'm grateful for getting to know him at all. So yeah, nice little DVD CD combo on that one. Soundstage then came up. This probably should go after the Stevie one, but Soundstage did come up afterwards with a combination of Stevie Nicks. There's the best of, so Stevie Nicks is on here, and then Fleetwood Mac had done Soundstage, which I think is that in Boston, maybe, or was that their own Soundstage? Anyway, this was a cool compilation that I found that I was led to believe had been a promo. I got it from like Sears or some weird JCPenney or something super weird like that. It was like a freebie. Like if you open up a card or something like that, you got this. I didn't open up a card, but somebody was nice enough to give it to me because I'm like, oh man, and might have begged a little bit. But we have Stevie Nicks with Gold Dust Woman on here. We have Fleetwood Mac with the Chain. And then we also have Heart, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Sheryl Crow, Chris Isaak. So it's just super Stevie and Fleetwood Mac related with all the, friend Ringo Starr, who Stevie had worked with, REO Speedwagon, Foreigner. There's just almost every damn name on this is a tie-in some way or another with Stevie or Fleetwood Mac, which I think is kind of funny. Like a 7 degrees of separation here. So, but just a really nice compilation. Again, now this is a Blu-ray, so of course even a better picture. So that was kind of a unique little item. No packaging or anything like that. Just the Blu-ray. But then for Stevie Nicks, we have the Soundstage Stevie Nicks Live. This is another one of those things where I don't know where I got them, but I got several. I can't even show you. Yeah, I know I have one open somewhere. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. These ones are sealed, and I'm going to leave them that way because, I trade with a lot of people, or sometimes I'll sell things. But these I just got, again, I don't know if I got them at the dollar store or somewhere, but they were insanely cheap, and I scooped up like half a dozen of them, and they're out of print now, so I'm really glad I did. But this is another great show. This one, I think, I had the CD, because when I mentioned the CD, I was 99% sure I said, I think that there's CD, DVD, which was in that soft packet that I had, but I was mentioning that I think that it stood on its own in a DVD or Blu-ray form. I hope I mentioned that because I'll say stuff and I second guess myself all the time. I'm talking about everyday things like cereal. Do I have cereal? Yes, I have cereal. I'll second guess myself and like check 5 cupboards, and that's how I am with everything. So I'm not just so spacey on here. It's everywhere. But it's a situation where when I spoke about the soft digipack that had the DVD and the CD, when I was talking about my CDs, that I might have brought this one up. So, but that is the front cover, and this is the back cover. And so it would be from this that the Gold Dust Woman came for this here. Next up, we have Stevie's In Your Dreams documentary. Now, this was really nice because this was like a proper documentary on Stevie. And this was really a different time for her. And, one of those things, I'm kind of surprised it came out this late in her life. We could have done with one of these much earlier, like something for Stevie around, let's say, 85 or 87 would have been nice to have had a proper documentary made by Stevie's people. Just kind of following her around with a recording process or something like that. But nonetheless, this was pretty phenomenal. This was a big deal when it came out. I'll talk about it when I get into the scrapbooks, but I was very grateful to attend a screening of this where she appeared in Mill Valley, California. And we got to see it before it was released. So it was not released on DVD yet, but it was in theaters. So that was a pretty cool item. And a couple of my friends are in this as well. And so that was really neat. This is the little insert here. Some of these, if you pre-ordered, you could get an insert sign, which I got one of those. There's a signed insert, which is this picture. And then she hand wrote a letter that she made copies of, but numbered them. And that came with the signed insert. And that was if you pre-ordered these, if you're lucky enough to get on those. This is a little hype sticker that I cut out and put on the inside, which I guess if you did the QR code featuring Never Be Seen. Oh, so that's if you scan that, you can watch the trailer. See if that still works. You could probably scan that even and see. It'd be kind of funny to see if it still worked. But this was really nice and insightful, and bless Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics. He really made this happen, having worked with her, of course. And, Mick Fleetwood liked to film things all the time, and Dave Stewart's that kind of person too. He films while he works. And I'm sure Mick Fleetwood could have given us 30 different documentaries with all the footage that he used to record. But seeing Stevie at this time in her life, making this recording. And this kind of goes with the Say You Will instance of, again, Stevie Nicks at this time. This was 2013? Is that right? Because we're kind of at the same crossroads with Stevie. Where are we at in 2013 with music? Is she still relevant? What does the label want? What does Stevie want? What do the fans want? I say, who gives a crap? If the artist wants to make music, they should make music. Of course, the fans want the music, but I understand that there are issues with labels and, a little pushback sometimes. It's just so money oriented. And also now the internet's so prevalent with self-made music makers that, somebody who is famous and legendary as Stevie is, but still, you kind of ask yourself where you fit in. And so it's just kind of an interesting time for Stevie. And this is really just a beautiful documentary. And she sounds and she looks great, and she's happy and she's funny in this. And it's pretty amazing. So I'm really happy to have this. Kind of unrelated. We're really getting into now wrapping up this video because this will be the last part. These are things that count, but they don't count. And I brought this up because this is kind of a cool find. As many of you know, Beauty and the Beast was a huge influence on Stevie for the song Beauty and the Beast. A lot of her imagery. Sorry for the tag. I found this used for $24 and thought I'd won the lottery because this is a Criterion issue of La Belle, Beauty and the Beast. And one of Stevie's most favorite films, and hands down one of the most beautiful films ever made, in my opinion. If you've not seen it, run, don't walk to find a copy. This is definitely something I firmly believe belongs in the Stevie collection. And I've thought about making a video that's all my Beauty and the Beast stuff. I have a lot of stuff by Jean Cocteau about Beauty and the Beast because of Stevie's the influence it's had over Stevie, not just for the Wild Heart and for the song Beauty and the Beast in 1983, but it continues to be a source of inspiration for Stevie. And she's used a lot of the imagery in backdrops as late as, 2004, maybe? 2000s. In the 2000s, she was still using a lot of imagery from this as a backdrop for her concerts. Because she was bringing the song out again, too. There's that. She was singing Beauty and the Beast, which she had not done live in quite some time, which was really a super treat. But I have an odd little side collection of Beauty and the Beast stuff, including, books, VHS copies, which I don't know where my VHS of this is. This Criterion collection is the one to have. This is the disc inside, and this beautiful little thick booklet about it. Just everything inside of it looks like. I think I'm going to save this for more detail going into it when I talk about the because I think I will make a video at some point just about Beauty and the Beast, and again, the pieces and the parts where you can see the Stevie influence, but just the dressing and the design and stuff, which came out well before Stevie, but you can just see where Stevie is still influenced by the clothing and it's just freaking gorgeous, so beautiful. So I have this as part of my Stevie collection, as I do a lot of stuff from Beauty and the Beast. I have the just some regular books, a lot of movie stills, a movie poster, some items. So, but I thought I would show that because again, with the media, I just felt that it kind of belonged, and so there's that. And then next, of course, it does belong, but there would be the heavy metal soundtrack, the heavy metal movie, of which Stevie's Blue Lamp is in the soundtrack. And this is kind of unfortunately, a damaged copy. This used to be pretty rare. You could only get this on, first of all, they did not release heavy metal on any kind of media for years, kind of like Rocky Horror Picture Show, because it was kind of a cult classic type thing. And finally, it did come out on VHS, and it was very expensive, like $100, no joke. It was very expensive. This one does not want to come out because the tape is still there, but you can see the box is broken, unfortunately. But yeah, I got this one pretty early. It was a big deal. I have a big poster. I remember if you bought it, you got this poster, and I love this movie. I love this character, so I got the poster. We used to have that up in our house for quite some time. Little insert, which I think you could get the poster and some merchandise, the t-shirts and stuff. I also have a couple, which I'll show with probably a video I'll do on press kits. I have a press kit about this movie that talks a little. They actually add a little bit of Stevie. Usually, most of it will just show like the poster. At the bottom of the poster, it shows here. It does mention her name here, but at the bottom of the poster, it would show the poster, and then down at the very bottom, it would have a big box. It would have everybody's name featuring music, so it would say Stevie Nicks on the cover, which I thought was kind of cool. So this does include her name here. But the press kit actually involved like a picture of her and then just a little blurb about the song, which I thought was kind of a cool find. So it's relevant because the song was played in the movie. So I think that firmly belongs with my media, mixed media. I think so anyway. And then just as rare, and again, this one is sealed also, and I'm sure I have it open somewhere, but for it to come out on not only DVD, but then eventually Blu-ray was, all the years that we waited for it to come out on VHS, and then finally it comes out on all these other medias. Now it's nothing. This was probably found at the $5 bin at Walmart for all I know. But it's come a long way because, and this soundtrack, you heard me talk about it with the albums. It's by far one of the best soundtracks ever. I'm not into the kind of heavier sound, but this is a damn good soundtrack. And then Stevie's edition of Blue Lamp is just Chef's Kiss is the last song. So, and this tube mentions her on the back. But it is during, I don't think they show a picture of it on the either one. But yeah, being as the music is played in the movie, it's worth, having in my collection because it's not just that she's on the soundtrack, but at least the music is played in the movie as well. And on that note, I have the Against All Odds movie because if you recall me mentioning with the vinyl, the mix that is in the movie is completely different than the That Is Violet and Blue, the song. And that music sounds completely different in the movie than the released version that we know of. So I have a copy of the movie just for that snippet, that little moment you get to hear the song in the movie. So this makes no mention of the artists who are on the soundtrack, unfortunately. I don't think so anyway. This movie is actually kind of good. It's dated, you know. It has its, it's actually not that terrible. And I do like the whole soundtrack, and the whole soundtrack is pretty good too. But yeah, it just mentions Phil Collins and Marilyn Martin. Yeah, so have that in the collection because again, Stevie's song is played in the movie, so it's fair game. It's part of the collection. Wrapping up with all the same reasons, we have the Practical Magic VHS because plus just having a Stevie Nicks collection, shouldn't you have Practical Magic in your collection? So this one makes no mention of Stevie being on the soundtrack or being in here, but we know, and we know it's played in the movie. No insert or anything like that. There's just right now, as I'm recording this day, is the 17th of July, and the internet is going completely batshit because there are Instagrams from Mick Fleetwood, Stevie Nicks, and Lindsey Buckingham around the song Frozen Love from the Buckingham Nicks soundtrack. And I'll be really interested to see when this airs versus what more we find out. Because we're all hoping that there is a Buckingham Nicks finally remastered or finally getting a CD release. But the more I think about it, the more I'm wondering if now that Practical Magic 2 has been announced and they used Crystal, which is also from the Buckingham Nicks album, that possibly they are utilizing the song Frozen Love into the next movie. And possibly that's why it's being remastered, if that's what's happening. And that maybe I would love for the whole Buckingham Nicks album to finally get its due, but it seems to be Frozen Love that keeps being talked about. And I'm thinking maybe it's something that's being worked on for the Practical Magic 2. That is my prediction. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens, even in the next couple weeks, what more information we find out. Lastly, I have this on DVD, and this, again, does not mention any of the artists who sing. I was really hoping that this would have a commentary on the music, and it does, but it does not bring up Stevie, which is weird because both these girls were really big fans of Stevie, really wanted her on it, and we had Crystal and If You Ever Did Believe, which was amazing to have that finally released by Stevie. And so it was a little disappointing when we got the DVD, which DVDs almost always had extra content, and that we would get nothing spoken about how the girls, got Stevie to work on it, and or how they chose what songs they did, or what songs Stevie chose, because I'm not sure who chose them. I would guess that they asked Stevie to work on it, and then Stevie chose what she wanted to use. But it could be because these two are fans, they also maybe wanted particular songs from Stevie. And it would have been nice if on the commentary that had been discussed. So, but again, since the music is played in the movie, I have the media because it's on there. Last, this is over the 35-minute mark, but as many of you know, a lot of them newer fans, which is really cool because bless Stevie's heart, she just keeps them coming. We had the American Horror Story, and we know that Stevie Nicks physically appeared in the, which is the third season, Coven. We had Misty Day, who was the big Stevie Nicks fan. And Stevie Nicks actually appears, and it's on disc 3, which is The Magical Delights of Stevie Nicks. And boy, howdy, what a great episode that is. That is just so much fun when Stevie Nicks shows up on that. So nothing in here about her other than the name of the show, the episode she's on. Stevie Nicks redid Seven Wonders. She redid the vocals, and I think she redid the vocals, or she did a little bit of a different nuance for Rhiannon, a little piano variant for the show. But I know that Seven Wonders is done in the episode, and she physically appears in it. It's not just the music. But so I had to buy this season, just to have that. And this whole season's pretty good too, but of course the Stevie Nicks involvement. And like I said, it brought a lot of new fans. There's a lot of people that, I'll talk to, and I only realize how old they are because they're like, oh, did you know she was in Coven? That's where I heard about her, and I'm like, wow, really? But I'm not mad about it. I think it's awesome, but it just kills me that people are just only hearing about her, or just, kind of discovering her. And this came out in 2009, which, for us, it's like, that's old now. But 2009, a lot of people were only just discovering Stevie Nicks by this. And, it's pretty freaking awesome. So that is all the current media that I have. And again, I hope everybody enjoyed it. Just a little hodgepodge of, again, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and then some old dinosaur stuff. Am I right? How many of you have any 8-tracks, or do any of you have reel-to-reels? I've looked to score some a couple times, but I just haven't gotten my hands on any. Sometimes they're like super cheap. Other times they go for a lot of money online. But share in the comments, please. I'd love to know what older media you have, or if you have any of the stuff I have, or anything different. To my knowledge, there's a different one of these that was issued for Emmy consideration. So for your consideration, and it showcases this, and the episode that they submitted for Emmy consideration was The Magical Delights of Stevie Nicks. So there's a whole separate thing. Also, to my knowledge, there is a press kit for this season. But I've never been able to ascertain if Stevie is pictured in it, mentioned in it, anything. So I would be interested to know if any of you have any more material for American Horror Story Coven, if there's anything that says, mentions, or shows Stevie Nicks in it. So let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this little short side series, and we'll see you next time with who knows what's next. But I'll keep it coming. So thanks for continuing to come see me, and have a great night. Bye.